the channel, intrepid listeners. This is a new series that's going to be dropping on between battle reports, where we're going to start recording a new podcast about our ramblings with the guys that I play with here at Warpstorm. So make sure to put us on loud, sit back, start painting, building, and enjoy. Okay, so I have three fantastic 40k players with me today. So I have Harry,
hello,
Seb,
hello,
and Toby.
Hello.
All patrons of Warpstorm. So today's topic, of course, is a new Space Marine Codex and a supplement from Ultramarines. Unfortunately, we don't have a copy of the Great Hunt, but we will probably cover that in the future.
None of us play White Scars.
Yeah, none of us play White Scars.
No, we don't.
If we find a White Scars player in the wild, we might actually get into...
Nobody wants to paint white.
Well, okay. I did.
Contrast is there?
No, I started with Sons of the Phoenix and then I bought
Gave
some
up.
Whites, and I realised that I will not be doing White Scars. And I will be finishing the one I have.
So what do you guys actually think of the updates that have come out?
It makes Marines viable again.
Honestly,
Even at a semi-competitive stage.
It's so good.
It gives you a reason not to soup your lists.
Yeah. It's just the fact that actually, for the first time, I've actually thought, oh yeah, I'm going to bring my Marines out, and actually not think, well, this is going to be about an hour and a half, 2 hours wasted of game time. It could actually be an interesting game.
Yeah, and Harry's got it even better because he's got his supplement. So before pointing out, Harry is the only one of us so far that has a supplement that he's actively using.
Yeah.
You're waiting for the
I'm waiting for the Salamanders.
And I'm curious about the Templar or Imperial Fist supplement.
I'm guessing whichever one's best would be your successor, wouldn't it?
I don't know, it depends on how Templars is worded. I don't even know if that's going to be its own book.
It
Sons
will
of the
be.
Phoenix is
They've had as much fluff as in 4th edition they had their own codex, so they should be guaranteed.
And they were the poster boys of 3rd edition.
If they get their own supplement, then will Crimson Fists? Because that means that's 2 successor chapters getting them. So then how does successors of success I do?
I wouldn't be surprised if you see just a Sons of Dawn style codex, same as Barrack's been talking about repeatedly over and over again.
I mean,
And again.
that makes sense. And then you could have Templar adjacent things. The Sons are a Crusading chapter like them. They're described as being Templar-ish.
Well, the reason I think about Templars are more likely because they've got their own. So they've got Sword Brethren, they've got Crusader Scrolls, they've already got the foundation. They've got the Chenobite Servitors. They've got a core of specialist units like. Well, they've already got those there, so it's not like the GW rules team have got to make something up.
And I know we've got on the agenda for later on with the Nova announcements earlier on this morning, for our time, by the time I saw it this morning at least. It looks quite clearly that there's a Templar vessel in the background of the Psychic Awakening trailer.
Yeah.
So that may mean nothing. It could just be artwork, but it may be there. I didn't catch it first time round. Again, it was Barrack that I found that through. He does love his.
Like the Sons of Dawn now, with the amount of characters.
Exactly.
From Imperial Fist to Crimson Fist to Black Templars to even your own.
It's going to be a thicker book than the Ultramarine book if it does all of those together.
So it would make sense to split them.
Yeah, but then how many books do they tell us? They tell us there's 6 more?
I'd say it depends on how accurate the redacted classified picture was. Whether that was just an indication or just a stock to do as a stock image, or whether that was all the books.
Unless what they do is they are going to do all of the sort of first foundering legions first as their supplement, and then in the second round they'll go around and do the successor sort of specialist ones.
I almost hope not, because I want them then to move on to Chaos Marines, move on to some other.
Definitely. There's some Psychic Awakening that's coming. That's very
we don't. Yeah, it could throw everything into the air. So
take years.
Well, it says new codex rules and new codex models.
It's more like the Vigilus stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll get
that's how I envisage it to
series
be.
of Vigilus-like books.
Which
they'll
will
have
be
stratagems. And they'll have a page of rules for each chapter. Or each faction.
No, Necrons will get a sentence.
Well, yeah. But everyone got at least a page in the first chapter approved.
True.
Where they got a little bit more fluff for some reason, and then a trait and some warlord traits and things. And then
the red as well.
One was
True,
always useless. One was always alright.
It seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago that happened, doesn't it? So that's the thing we've got to bear in mind is the speed that Games Workshop are releasing these updates and things.
You guys
is incredible.
wanted to hurry on to the next faction, but I don't know. Do we want them to just drop all of these chapters all at once, so all Marine players are up to date and new, or do we want them to add in another faction, do some Xenos, and then come back and do successors.
That's a fair point actually, because
with Sisters dropping in November, it might disrupt the flow anyway. Unless they go, because I can't imagine they're going to get all these supplements out before November.
Is that their final codex as well, or is it another mini dex?
It's the Battle Force or whatever they're branding it as. Is coming November 19.
25 models plus a book, but is that a finalised hardback codex? Or is that another one like?
It's just like an index sort of.
I think probably an amalgamation of the index and a mini.
There's so many units that are synonymous with the Sisters that aren't in that box.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder. The same with they're releasing the image of the single Howling Banshee earlier on at Nova. You've got to assume that the rest of the Aspect Warriors are going to get some love as well. So whether it's just a case of whether they keep, maybe in the next decade, but you've got to hope that they're then going to keep that ball moving, and it's not just playing lip service to the fans that have been demanding Aspect Warriors since at least the late 90s.
I think I need 7 Dark Reapers, but otherwise I've got all the Aspect Warriors I could ever want, and most of them are metal.
Yeah.
Except the poor Finecast ones I bought, which were a huge waste of money.
Yeah, Tom's
Are they sort of just
Finecast
like a warped mess at this point?
Mandrakes needed.
It was mold slippage was my biggest problem. So like chainsaw teeth weren't lined up because it was split right in the middle of chainsaw. Anyway, don't need to diss on. Everyone knows Finecast is crap.
But Forge World is so good.
Forge World is good if you've got a heat source and the ability to contact them to get a replacement part. Or an entire replacement tank from Harry.
Yeah, that's true. I had to get an entire replacement Basilisk.
I don't think I've replaced anything I've ever had from Forge World. I've still got an incorrect component for my Storm Eagle, but I still haven't had it replaced.
The only thing I've ever had to have replaced was an original Grey Knights Terminator metal box set, because in one of the weapons there was an air bubble and it split it and you just could not repair it.
Yeah. I've had that problem with plastic where components snap because of bubbles and things, but not in my Forge World stuff.
Actually, come to think about it, that Basilisk I had to get replaced for, it wasn't even the resin that was damaged. They just forgot to put the plastic tracks in. So the resin, which I thought this is going to be terrible, was absolutely perfect. And the plastic, which was almost guaranteed, was not there.
Yeah, I've had parts. I mean, the canopies missing from Dark Elder flyers and that sort of thing, but
that's the clear plastic canopy.
Yeah, the canopies there, from GW rather than from Forge World. But yeah, they've generally been pretty good. I still keep eyeing up Leviathans, and
mine Leviathan's fine.
They're so expensive.
Yeah.
I'm always shocked by the price of Leviathan general, because I always think about them.
Yeah.
And they're really good, and then I look at the price again. And I go, no, I've probably got enough dreadnoughts.
I look at the price of them and then think that's quite a sensible price, and then realise it comes with no arms, and then by the time you add those in, and then all the options you want.
Free arm sale.
Yeah, I missed that last time.
And then a week later they brought out Blood Angels one. Because, that's what happens to me. But with the new points costs and changes, new units, is there anything that you guys are thinking, yes, I need that, or any
For the Salamander player, there's a nice amount of 12-inch beefy flamers amongst the various.
Yeah, but he got a new codex and you didn't.
No, they haven't got it yet. We think. We're assuming. Well, there is that true. That is true. We look at the supplements, and the Invicta Warsuit, I think, is going to be a good turn 1 distraction / bullet sponge. Use them as some way of distracting people in the first turn.
It's only a toughness 6.
I've used one as a proxy. One on its own really didn't do much. I can see having sort of 2 or 3 as a massive just fist of death. Hell yeah, that'll work. But one on its own just didn't.
What do they point up to?
I know that. That is
like
the issue.
130. I think about 130 points if I load them for flames.
Yeah.
I'm just worried that I dismiss them because they degrade and they are low toughness. But if you can auto hit weapon, okay, that negates some of it. But I also dismissed the Lord Discordant because one by itself just gets wrecked.
Yeah.
But 3 of them.
Yeah, 3 of them does mustard.
Is a real force to be reckoned with. So yeah, maybe there's a space for Invictus Warsuits. I mean, that deploy anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It's not always just 9 inches away from the enemy. It can be with an autocannon. It can be somewhere important. There are some deployment maps
you sit that on a kind of an abandoned objective on the far edge of the board with an autocannon. Yeah, and it can still contribute because of that range.
Give it slap a 5-man squad behind it in your lines with range 30 or 33 bolters double tapping all the time, and now someone has to come and deal with it. And then if they deal with it and they're close, and then there's 5 Primaris there who are now only 85 points and really good at what you get.
Yeah, tactical doctrine has changed them.
Good.
It's
so
really
powerful.
powerful.
I will say one caveat for the doctrines. What it works great for is opponents that had armour. So Tau or anything that had 4-up armour save, straight up ignore me. Great, because they were already paying premium to have that 4-up armour. Marines, you're really, really hurting. I played my guard against Ultramarines. Honestly, I didn't actually notice the difference because you're ignoring my armor save anyway. So against cheap horde armies, then the extra -1 AP probably isn't going to do much difference. But against the more expensive elite 4-up save armies, you're seriously going to cause.
Especially going on back to Necrons, so you think the ability to then start removing those reanimating bodies easier because you're getting past that 4-up save easier is becoming free up on the. Warriors, on the Immortals, on the Warriors.
You put them to their 5 bin bun though anyway on Necrons, right?
Yeah.
They've got buffs like that. But against things like Guardsmen and Orcs, I consider the extra -1 to be basically like having the ignores cover keyword.
Yeah.
It negates that what's the stratagem?
Take cover.
That's the prepared positions.
Oh yeah, prepared positions, and then there's the take cover stratagem as well, which you can give to one squad, and that gets +1 armor. If anything, I've actually saved CP in the 15 command point guard army because I just haven't gone. Yeah, it's not even worth bothering now. Just
when you could
forget
stack, when you could stack it to a 3-up with a psychic power and a stratagem, 2-up with cover on top of that. Is that how that's stacked?
Yeah, because
then
it's
a Marine player goes 1 -2, and you go. Actually, maybe I won't bother.
Yeah.
Or you just target the unit isn't buffed.
But even if you look at it from a less pessimistic point of view, you are almost then guaranteed to remove the screen you need to. And if you've but the problem is then you still haven't got a particularly punchy combat force making use to go through that screen because you're then waiting potentially another 2 turns for your. Well, another turn, more likely, for your Assault Doctrine to kick in, where you start getting that -1 chainsword or even knife.
I've not turned into Assault Doctrine on turn 3 yet.
No?
I've turned on to it sort of 5 or 6 if most things are already locked up in combat.
My first game I switched to 4 because most of my intercessors were dead and my infiltrators. So I'd lost 30 Marines already. And all my Hellblasts, I think. I was down to basically just characters. So that pistol buff and assault buff was good. But my second game I never switched out of tactical.
Yeah.
The tactical's I think tactical is probably the most beneficial. Unless you're running a heavy weapon sort of centric army, I think tactical's probably you sort of get into position, you get a big hit with your heavy weapons turn 1, and then turn to tactical and you just swim through. Especially with Signs of Gilliman. So Battle Pro that you guys have probably seen where it was me versus Tom, just your slam captain just couldn't keep up with my predators.
No, I just chasing them around the board.
Yeah.
But your slam cannons do have a habit of chasing people around the board because they can't not be able to keep up.
Yeah,
You've chased my Archon around the board a few
and
turns.
I chased Matt's Storm Eagle around the board. So literally just.
You know that you can teleport them.
Yeah, well, no, that's I do for most things. But once you start locking on,
What does Signs of Gilliman?
So Signs of Gilliman basically means that when the tactical doctrine is active, all Ultramarines units that did not advance or fall back but did move in your movement phase count as stationary when firing. So you're maxing out on your bolter doctrine and you don't suffer the minuses for your heavy weapons.
So how many aggressors do you have?
Yeah, I would say a big block of Boltstorm aggressors would be absolutely horrific for an Ultramarines player on that. For the extra range.
Why a big blob? Just lots of 3s. Don't let anyone focus fire them down. I know if you have a big blob, then you can use transhuman physiology on them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can use that like every turn. What, are they toughness 5?
Toughness 5.
And free wounds
anything with Gravis armor is toughness 5, which actually, especially with tactical doctrine, I absolutely am loving.
Do they have the extra wound now?
Yeah, free wounds,
so free wounds
and
pop.
free attacks.
Yeah.
So this is what we're going back to the Assault Doctrine, playing as Salamanders. My combat units that I run are hammers or fists or siege drills. You don't need the extra -1 from the Assault Doctrine. You're better off having your flamers or your bolters having that in tactical once you've expended off Hunter Seeker Missile, Hunter Killer Missile, I should say, or Assault Cannons on the push-ups.
Soup now, where people used to run screens of scouts with camo cloaks. Oh yeah, I've got my 2-ups in cover, suddenly it's a 4-up.
Yeah.
And you're just clearing them out instead of trying to ignore them or manoeuvre around them.
And if anyone has ignores cover, then that's even worse.
Yeah.
Fists. Just
Iron
ignore cover
Warriors,
inherently,
just-
right?
I believe so.
Oh,
isn't it?
And then the -2 on their bolters as well. Obviously, we're talking about Primaris when we say -2.
Maybe
There is still a spot for tactical marines. They have got there, but they are. Whereas your intercessors are definitely your fill all gaps type unit. I'm intrigued to see what this new Hell Fury line in the codex is. Hopefully, it's a new model coming soon.
Not a typo.
But that's still not a typo. But otherwise, the Primaris are still reliant on the Hell Blasters, which can be focused down.
So good.
We know Seb loves his Hell Blasters, but
I'll be honest, Hellblasters are great. I'm absolutely loving the Plasma Inceptors because you can strike them wherever the hell you want. -4 if you're playing tactical, which by turn 2 you're in tactical.
And they're assault weapons, aren't they? So
They're assault weapons.
you're not suffering that -1 ever.
No.
And you use silence Gilliman against me with them, and you just wreck.
Just deep stroke wherever you want. You get your reroll one roll off, so you can overcharge. And I've killed so many tanks and so many sort of big tough units just by going cool. That's there, and now it's gone. It's just dead.
So the reason I'm so in love with Hellblasters right now is because I can take a 10-man squad and a 5. I've got something else to fill out the rest of my heavy detachment. But that 10-man squad that would be crazy. Previously a 5-man squad, because otherwise you suffer morale. But with the banner that's in here, the relic banner that's going to make them immune to morale within 9. It's going to make them shoot back on a 4-up when they die within 9. And you can put transhuman physiology on a 10-man squad. My favourite part is that the chaplain can give them +1 to hit.
Yeah. So actually,
Physically can't kill yourselves.
Yeah, and then chapter master rerolls.
unless you
the way
get to
they work
those
now.
completely ridiculous -5 to hit Eldar flyers.
Well, I came up against Eldar flyers, but they would either fly too close because they wanted to snipe my characters, so I'd leave a little pocket where they could maybe come in, but then if they did that, they would kill the one character they went after, and then I'd shoot them out of the sky. I already had my +1 to hit buff,
Yeah.
because that's done at the beginning of the battle round. They don't have
Yeah.
the chance of killing them yet. Sorry, killing them before they buff, like you could with a wizard. We'll get on to wizards maybe later.
Yeah, because actually there are some psych powers in the Ultramarines book that I think will really cause some issues.
And I think there are some in the Space Marine book that aren't very good.
they're unchanged now, aren't they? For
Yeah.
a few tweaks on
They've got
power,
warp charge power
changes.
and-
They've gone down in price, but I mean, it depends on what you're using. But I think honestly, some of them aren't worth it. And the fact you're taking the right librarian for the right
when
job.
did you ever see psychic waters being used, except when I misread the rules?
Yes.
I
Yes. you thought it was just a flat 4 at Film No Pain.
No, that's the
that's
litany
broken.
of that's the litany of whatever it's called now. But that's
Psychic Fortress and Null Zone are the 2 powers I take.
okay.
I have,
You too.
all infantry army.
Yeah.
So I could throw in a Dreadnought because I own one, and, but I won't. So then things like Might of Heroes aren't worth it. So why not take Psychic Fortress, put it out on that unit's in front, and that's the one that's going to get wizarded. It's going to get Psychic.
Yeah.
You know where they're going to put their powers, and then another immune to morale.
I suppose in the players I regularly play against, no one really brings enough psychic to make it worth having a counter to it.
No.
You can afford to lose the occasional scout or scarab base or
Because
whatever.
I rarely run Mephistos.
And actually, with your psych power, Tom, yours is all self-inflicted.
Yeah.
When
it's
I
buffing.
play my
Yeah.
guard, it's always the astropath making my tank commander
Just, yeah,
minus 1 to hit.
defensive
So
powers.
it's all defensive powers, and those, apart from maybe Mephisto, my guys at the back of the board, so you're probably not denying them anyway.
Yeah, and honestly, so I'm talking about Primaris librarians here.
Yeah.
All my core Space Marines are Primaris. But it's 100 points, and it's maybe not worth it. But that one clutch reroll when you need it, at +1, you've got Psychic Hood on. When you need to stop Jinx or need to stop Doom, is it 100 points well spent in every game? No, but in some games it comes in clutch.
Yeah.
I think it's like opponent specific, isn't it? So you're playing Thousand Suns, of course you're going to
And
take
then-
it.
And then
Yeah.
Null Zone. If you come up against someone that has a 3-up invulnerable in
Yeah,
combat,
Knights.
well, no,
Yeah.
Knights
Not-
don't have an invulnerable in combat, and Null Zone has to be within 6.
To be honest, Wraiths just
you
drop.
suffered that, didn't you? You got too close with your Castellan in the 750
Yeah, you've slammed captained my Castellan, but I've been null zoned by a jump pack jump back librarian, zipping over and then casting it. And that was when it was a.
Eight.
When it was an
Yeah,
8.
this is
now
now
it's only a
7. Average dice.
It's more than 50% now, and it was less than 50% before.
Yeah. It's a very slight but nice. Yeah.
If you're
It is
all right,
powerful.
can I go on to the Ultramarines ones because there are a couple here that I really.
I don't even remember why I mentioned
So there are a couple here that sort of really stand out. First of all, that I absolutely love is Scry's Gaze. So Warp Charge value 7. Once that goes off, you can choose one or two benefits. Either automatically just gain 1 command point, or you can select. Well, if it's not chosen, then once in this turn, select an Ultramarines unit. They can either reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, or 1 damage roll. And if you cast that first, it can. I've done it a couple of times. It's forced someone to go. No, I'm using my. I know. Say I was playing against Custodes. I'm having to use my my CP denial to stop you getting that stuff. And then you can then roll in with something like Smite, or actually Psychic Shackles is great because you just half movement.
Can you mix powers from the Ultramarines and a regular?
No, the way I read it, you can. Oh, if you're an Ultramarines Librarian, you can have one of those. You can have the disciplines of soul, so you can't mix them.
Your 2 powers have to be from the same discipline.
Yeah.
And in these codexes, unlike Chaos, there's no way of switching, is there?
No, because they changed up Tome Malkador.
Yeah, Malkador used to be able to take you 1 more psychic power, but you could pick from which table. Whereas now that's been changed to from a table you already know. Actually, this is the first time I've seen the Indominus discipline, and it now has explained to me at least why the Squire's Gaze from the Phobos librarian has been rebranded Soul Sight, because they decided to give it to the Ultramarines rather than giving them a new name.
Same with Blood Angels. We can now use Phobos Librarian, but you can only use either Sanguinian Doctrine or that one.
Alright, so both powers from the same.
Yeah, you have to be on the same table.
Schools, disciplines? Yeah,
Disciplines they're at, yeah. I mean, again, some of the Phobos stuff would be lovely, but the Phobos units themselves that you were casting them on, okay, shrouding's quite nice on some of the eliminators.
What does that do?
Which is that you can only shoot them, basically makes them a character, you can only shoot them with their nearest unit, so it's quite nice to protect your, if you could take eliminators in a bigger unit, if you could take even 5 or even 6 eliminators, that would be really scary, having them and not being able to target them unless they were the closest. They could sit at the back with a librarian buffing them, keeping them safe.
Would you pay a CP for that same ability?
Not with the list I tend to play, but in a different list build I could see it being really powerful.
On a Phobos unit, like exactly the same power for a CP. Because I always think about that when I think about stratagems.
Well, just
When I think about psychic powers, I think, would I spend a command point on this or more? But you have to do it in your psychic phase, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Again, it would be situational. So, looking over your shoulder, there's a game going on where there's a Ultramarines versus Tau. If I'm playing against a Tau army where you're worried about some of the firepower, but you want to take out, say, a Fireblade, yes, you've got the issue of drones, but if you can remove that Fireblade, those units suddenly start earning their points back quite quickly by neutering the boys.
Turn 1, you go, cool, all my bolters are going to go on drone clearance, and then
rifles go into the Fireblade, or taking out company commanders, all the various guard, squishy, lovely characters when they're not in their metal boxes. They are really useful.
The issue they've got though is it's kind of the same thing with Hellblasters, because they are very good at what they do. They can sometimes struggle to survive, which is
where
actually
the
why
shrouding
shrouding is
comes
really
in.
nice. Because you ran them in the 1,000-point tournament when they first came out, and I went, "No, I don't fancy finding out what they do," and they died
Which
first
is where,
turn.
before I could get shrouding off.
Did you have some way of ignoring cover?
Well, I was using Basilisk at that point.
No, you fired many assault cannons.
Yeah, that was it.
So they're doing a 2-up save against that, aren't they?
But it was just the fact that it's just
weight
roll
of dice.
And they are only 2 wins each.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that was, which was in.
Then
Go on,
the other one that I quite like is Psychic Shackles. So that's select an enemy unit within 18 and start your next psychic. Until the start of the next psychic phase, half a movement characteristic rounding up of that models, and when charging and advancing, subtract 1. But however, you can't combo that with Tenebra's Curse. It specifically says you cannot do those two together. So actually,
sorry, who does it affect?
A single enemy unit. So
Within
18. So
can you hit flyers with it?
technically yes.
But Tenenbrau's Curse, you can't. If you can, they cannot manifest unless you do. If you do not. I can't speak. If none of it's any unit that cannot fly.
So with the one that can affect flyers, that's where you get into some weird territory where you kill flyers
With crash and burn.
because they have to move less than their minimum.
Now it's in.
you have to
When
read
I
the
read,
FAQs.
I think that's going to be FAQ
screen them
because
out.
the way I read it is you will be halving their maximum movement. I don't think unless you get damage bracketed anyway. I don't think
You have to
Yeah.
damage bracket them because otherwise they tend to be like 40-20.
Yeah,
And they
it's
kill-
always something like 50-20. So actually, even if you're halving the top, you're not going under the minimum.
I can't remember where I've read it, but in one of the recent, even thinking maybe an FAQ or an errata, there was something saying it was when it talking about maximum distances, which was you always, if you're doubling the distance, you're doubling that or halving the maximum distances rather than the minimum.
Yeah.
But catching flyers is more where the White Scars psychic power comes in, which I can't remember the name of it. Apologies, we don't have the book in front of us. Which was where you have to roll off to try and escape. Now, if you can put a librarian with that into a flyer, so it would be via jump pack or using the oversight in the rules writing where you can consolidate into flyers even though you can't charge them, then that flyer then has to roll off. If it fails the roll off, it crashes and burns because it can't fly away because it's trapped. Same with Dark Eldar witches and their shard nets.
Plenty of them have got
Hover modes, yeah.
So,
It's the Eldari flyers that tends to be the. But if you're getting that close to Hemlock, then well done.
if they're really spamming Eldar jets, some of them will be close enough. The board is only so big, right? And the Hemlocks do have to come close.
And that's I think where things like the Invictus suits, where you can, we've discussed before we started recording, putting them in different locations, and you can potentially, if you're deploying second, use things like the Invigorator Scouts, the Invictus suits, to be able to again screen out flyers, restrict their movement, and that side of things.
Or you
So
could
it's-
even bottleneck them into a singular path.
Well, this
Yeah.
is why I like Tenebra's Curse because I didn't get off first turn, but I got off second turn, and I managed to bottleneck. He had a Contemptor the Chapo Contemptor Dreadnought, and I bottlenecked that between. It just completely slowed down his entire army because that thing could only do that. And that, to be honest, if for some magical reason my librarian's alive last couple ends of the turn, if you were to pop that on, say, my sort of most extreme thought would be a guard squad would move on them.
Yeah.
Suddenly, actually, they're not getting up the board to that objective.
It halves their move, and does it stop them from advancing as well?
It -1 to advance.
Move, guards, and they're still going in.
Oh yeah, they're still going a day in distance, but they're not. It's not as reliable.
Yeah, it's
though.
not 24 inches.
And it's one of the things that something he doesn't say it often anymore, but Lawrence Barker from Tabletop Tactics used to say all the time: as soon as you're affecting the way your opponent has to move or is able to move, you've already taken control of that, at least that round of the battle. So if you can go, okay, you can't now run. Okay, guardsmen are still high speed. But a lot of units, you go, okay, I know you're not getting to that objective, and especially in some of the Eternal War missions where it's getting at the end of the battle round. If that 1 inch comes in and you're then not close to that objective, in some of the Eternal War missions, that 1 point can cost you the game. But again, you have to be close enough.
Slam captains, if I'm 18 inches out, okay, yeah, I've got a 12 inch charge, and you're suddenly halving my movement down to 6 again.
Yeah, you deep strike them for 1 CP.
Yeah, well,
But then,
it's late in the game.
you've got to remember though, Seb, you're -1 to charges, so you're almost having to burn more command points on.
Yeah,
Well, you have to use the teleport to use the 3d6 charge anyway.
Yeah,
so-
Yeah.
but
you would force me to do that.
Yeah,
so they know
but-
that I could get way within 12.
But when you think
And
that a
then
9 inch
just
charge
take
is still
short
is only
charge
a 9 inch charge anyway, is still only a 28% chance without a
that's a 10
reroll.
inch charge if you manage to do
And
that.
then a 10 inch charge, that's suddenly becoming a really
I don't know
low
what the maths
percentage.
is for that on a 3d6.
I only know it because of seeing a meme or something along those lines, and that's the only reason it's stuck in my head.
Let's just say it's unlikely.
Or you can roll like me with 3 dice and still fail.
There is that.
That's why Harry doesn't take Hellblasters.
No, that's exactly why.
Or you can like Toby that can roll, what was it, 8 6s?
Yeah, but you know my dice betray me often enough.
I was about to say, yeah, but the same round you've also rolled 4 1s in a row.
Yeah.
So it's very swingy.
Yeah, my dice don't let me.
What are your guys' thoughts on like the new turn 1 drop pods? Because I know I've used it against Harry, and I got
When you dropped it,
It's
you dropped it on turn 1.
Yeah,
Whereabouts on the table?
right in his line.
Yeah.
Right up in his face.
Yeah,
Well,
dropped out.
it was in deployment zone. The thing, some armies it won't affect. So if your opponent's got good screening, it's not going to make much difference. However, what it did cause me to, I knew when I was fighting you, I thought at some point I'm going to have to kill that drop pod because that's an easy line breaker point. I killed all the stuff inside, but I just thought I've got to kill that drop pod but there's a bloody Storm Raven over there. I need to kill that, but I've also got to kill that as well.
Yeah, when you were talking about...
It's that psychological thing.
When you were talking about how powerful Hellblasters and how powerful Eliminators are, that your opponent has to deal with them.
Yeah.
If you put down enough Space Marines now, they actually don't have enough to kill everything. They've got to pick a thing and deal with it.
Yeah.
So if they're dealing with +1 to hit Hellblasters with Transhuman Physiology, they aren't killing the other stuff. And that's the same with the... Do you kill the immediate threat?
Or do you kill the thing that actually will probably cost you the game in terms of
You got it
points?
down to 1 wound by the end.
Yeah.
And you just could... And because it had forced so much onto that side of my quarter of the board...
Your Storm Raven was somehow still alive.
I just kept shooting everything that went
And
near it.
so we discussed it already, going on to the Invictus War Suits. I mean, one of the reasons I like them, the build I'm looking at, is literally dusting off a Land Raider. A Land Redeemer dropping down in points now, 275-ish points, depending whether you put pintle mounted and missiles and such on it.
Well, you pay for the Storm Bolt because 2 points.
Yeah, you would. But the raw bare bones, I think, is about 274 as I've got written down. You pop a unit of Assault Centurions in there to get them up the board. They're now 156 points with Flamers and Hurricane Bolters. They've dropped. It's about 40 points a model. I think they drop by the time you gear them out. If you've got three Invicta War Suits in your face, especially, I'm hoping Salamanders get some nice pyrotechnic style stratagems when our supplement ever drops, with those 12-inch flame cannons on there. If you don't deal with those, they're in your grill, and you have to deal with them because of the power of their assault ability. You're then not shooting at that Land Raider.
And you're also, do you know what you're also not shooting at? You're not shooting at your tactical intercessors that actually captain your objectives as well. Simple as that.
You guys, I think, of all bar Seb, have faced my Brealf Ashmantle.
He's an absolute nightmare.
And he's exactly the same thing. You deal with a strength 9, toughness 9, possibly toughness 10, Dreadnought wandering down the board. You can't ignore him. That leaves the rest of your troops to...
He's a character, right?
Yeah.
How many wounds do you have?
8.
8, okay.
The only way I managed to deal with him, I never actually killed him, but when I played you with my guard, I pushed so far out the table that you had to drop him practically in your lines, and then I just fell back.
That was pre-Storm Raven.
Yeah, it was pre-Storm Raven, but that point still ran.
The Storm Raven can carry a character Dreadnought.
Carry a Dreadnought that is below 13 wounds, I think it is.
Yeah, can't carry...
Anything that's not a Redemptor.
Then the Storm Raven. So things like Blood Angels can't run Leviathans.
Yeah, no.
But you can run over flyers now, so you should be happy, right?
Well, to be honest, I've always considered running basically as Storm Raven with the Death Company Dreadnought and Death Company.
Yeah.
Without the jump packs.
Just
have
a massive ball of death.
So,
fly on the board like, hey.
Storm Raven stats in front of me. It cannot transport Primaris, as we all know, or Dreadnoughts that have a wound characteristics of 13 or more.
Which I
believe
is
the Redemptors, is that
13, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Redemptors and Invictors. I think.
No, the Invictor hasn't got the Dreadnought keyword. The Invictor War Suit.
Cool.
So you can't.
But yeah.
so
Anyway,
I was looking at that for Wisdom of the Ancients.
You're going to deep strike it anyway.
But he's not dead, is he? So he's not
That makes
interested.
sense. Yeah, he's not captain level command. Yeah, of course he can't give out reroll ones.
Yeah.
Can he have a comms reroll like the infiltrators?
I don't know if he can. That'd be nice.
Because have you guys used comms already yet?
No.
But I played Matt, who does Raven Guard and comms rate. It's so useful because, let's be honest, those infiltrators are going to be out the way anyway. So having those reroll hits and wounds, it meant that he could have his infiltrators wherever he wanted, but then his actual captain, his lieutenant, were then with his pair of repulsor executioners, making them horrid, absolutely horrid.
So if anyone doesn't know, it's a 10-point piece of war gear for infiltrators that allows them to use the Phobos captain and Phobos lieutenants buffs, basically, no matter where they are on the table.
Yeah.
And when you're when you're deploying them, because they can go anywhere like the war suit, it's so good. It's so powerful.
Really good. I will say the incursors with their mines, it's cool, but I can see some very easy ways of just negating that.
Well, it's D3 mortal wounds, right, from the mines.
If 50 plus 1 if you're a vehicle.
It's one time, and so you use a unit. It's what chaff.
Yeah,
you just chaff it. You get to choose as the victim which one of your units takes it.
You drop them on objectives.
But it's only D3.
Well, no, you don't, because we're jumping forward a little bit. I was once again playing against Matt because it was literally a full Phobos army. There's a relic in the Ultramarines book called the Tarantine Cloak, which gives you a 5 invuln, so actually my left hand had an invuln. But at the start of my moon phase, I can heal D3 lost wounds. So I just used my left hand as mind clearance vehicle and just went, whatever,
nice.
whatever, and then just everyone went on.
Was he using infiltrator models as incursors?
Yeah, he was proxying just to see how it was. Like I proxied the Leviathan as the Invicta War suit.
Oh yeah,
just
rather than buying a £37.50, not a dreadnought.
Yeah, it was more to see
dread.
Was it worth it.
Not dead dread.
Yeah.
Hashtag not dead dread.
And actually, they're cool. And yes, it meant that I didn't push up quite as quickly, but there were very easy ways of mitigating those things.
Yeah, because the victim gets to choose.
Mine.
Chooses who takes the wounds. It seems like a strange thing. And again, I come up to, would I spend a command point for this ability rather than points? And honestly, with the mines, unless I was putting down...
How much points are they?
10 points. 10 points.
A mine? Okay.
Yeah, I think
probably wouldn't depend that
points,
actually.
One model has it, and then you can deploy it.
War gear. 10 points right here. I mind.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't pay that.
I wouldn't. I would probably pay 10 points for D3 mortal wounds. Like if I could put that onto a tank or something, and it could dish out D3 mortal wounds. But that would be where I wanted to put it, not where my opponent wants to put it.
So do you take hunter killer missiles on vehicles at 6 points? We all know they never hit anything, but
There's always the hope.
Yeah,
one day.
My marine army with regular marines and regular marine tanks is Blood Angels, so they haven't been out since the new book. But it's only the ones who have hunter killers.
Actually.
Yeah, Flesh Bearers, not Blood Angels, but yeah.
no relics for you.
Except I can't. Only if I take Gabriel Seth, who is really cheap, but I use the relics anyway because I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Whilst we're on the point of vehicles, I was messing around, so just really using lots of random units. So I used Assault Marines, I used Land Speeds, Vindicate, and actually, all of them, they were all rubbish before because, especially with Land Speeders, they were fast-moving vehicles, yet because their weapons completely defeated the purpose of the game. When actually, there are just, it's quite nice to see that actually, I wouldn't use them to win a tournament, but you can use them and not feel like you're crippling yourself.
Is that because you don't suffer the move-in fire penalty with your list?
Yes, however, there are stratagems in the Standard Marine book called Big Guns Never Tire, which you effectively get to do that anyway.
Does that affect a squadron?
Yes, the unit. I'm pretty sure it says the unit. So you could do a squadron of 3 land speeders.
And I could also give them a 4-up invulnerable save.
With their
or a 3-up invulnerable save.
The jinx, basically, isn't it? For all
Then
intents
I
and
can't fire the heavy weapons.
skill
Yeah,
riders.
but I'm more thinking if you got, say, if there's a couple left last turn of the game, you want to, if you've got 2 CP left, you go, cool, I'm going to advance over onto that objective. There's 6 wounds, toughness 5, 3-up invuln.
Well, I'm just going against like knights because how heavy shots coming your way. That's spinning up the board if you're not in range somehow.
Yeah.
At least you know you can survive a turn.
I mean, with land speeders, if you're not in range,
I know you're playing it wrong.
you've got multi-multis to bring them to bear, or assault cannons. That's all 24. You're almost in charge range there. Oh, put it on top of a building, then you're fine.
Yeah. So that's actually a quick fix. The other one that I other one that I found, which I did it more as we'll do it because the model's cool, but actually I've had a lot of fun just using the Vindicator now that it's changed to a flat D6 demolish cannon shots.
Also because you don't suffer the mind.
Exactly, so I can move it up. But it's the fact that I, like Toby's had to dust off his Redeemer, I've dusted off a Vindicator, and I'm just having an absolute blast with it.
Yeah, I saw the D6 increase as a real buff, but then every time I look at the Vindicator, I compare it to an Imperial Guard tank commander with a Demolisher cannon.
Oh yes, no.
I could list the things that a Demolisher cannon Lehman Russ does compared to a Vindicator.
Oh yeah,
It's staggering.
Yeah, like I said, this is not purely competitive, but it's just the fact that
has the Vindicator Stratum has gone, hasn't it?
Yeah,
because nobody anyone actually owns 3 Vindicators.
I do.
Do you actually Vindicators?
I do, and put it like this: Killshot and Linebreaker.
Why
Have you got 7?
Are they different coloured?
No, they're all Flesh Terrors. They're all painted. I got 3 when Original Planet Strike came out because there was a box set.
Yeah,
Just
right.
got 3, and then
I'm sure there's a
recently I
Apocalypse
found them on
bundle.
eBay, and someone was selling 3, and I don't know where the 7th one came from. But the 3 came with counter-killer missiles on them.
Hence the question earlier on.
So that was great. But the last Apocalypse game, I just lined 7 up, Siege Shield to Siege Shield. And I think they all got killed by a Warhound thing when it exploded. Not 100% on that.
Was that Tom's Warhound Titan?
I was about to say,
Luckily, hasn't had the experience exploding yet. He's only ever killed everything instead.
Well, we used yours not long ago playing Apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
The new Apocalypse, not the old version
Yeah.
we used to talk about.
Of course you were in here, weren't you?
Yeah.
A months ago now, whatever it was.
Have you used it? No, because it's 2,000 points. You
Yeah,
can't use it in
I'm
the
never
game.
going to
you
use
do a
it.
2K game if you really want.
Well, if you do a 2K tournament, I might do just for the laughs. Like, yeah, I have a Warhound, you've got 300 guardsmen. We're going to be here for a while.
To make a nice terrain piece.
Yeah.
You should bring it to the next League of Knights. If you haven't built a Knight army by then, you should just show up with that. Someone brought just a Warlord last time. Sorry, Warhound last time. He didn't lose all of his games.
No, it might be first. Might win. Focus at least one night down with ease.
There's Knights in that alternate activate, so it balances it a little bit out, but doesn't help the one model army that much.
So looking into stratagems and such, they're in there. We discussed a few of them going forward, but I don't think we can ignore the fact that the Grav trainers come back to the station.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going to say transhuman physiology.
Well, transhuman physiology
that's
is howdy up, but the fact that obviously GW seem to have noticed they're not selling any Grav-based weapons at the moment and sort of just buffed it and made
and
it.
their points went down, right?
I think the points went down. I haven't looked into the points, but the fact that you can make them actually a useful weapon again
Does
now.
anyone here own any Grav Cannon and Grav Hams?
I haven't grabbed pistol on massage.
I have one Grav Gun and one Combi Grav.
I'll be honest, I bought my Devastators at the start of 8th, so all the Grav weapons are still in the Pro.
And that's perfect. You just need to get some bodies, and then you can build some more decks.
Or just a
the Devastator scored is magnetized. Give me half an hour, I might be sorted.
I've seen you sticking magnets on. They'll take you more than half an hour. Just the polarity alone will take you
months
that.
away from finishing your Ultramarine army. That's
Oh yeah, that's kind of
We
got
all
off
know
target.
that army's never being finished.
It's not.
There are a few things that show up in the stratagems
Yeah.
that by themselves look good, but then you look at the
Combos you can
It's
pull
when you
through.
combo up, that's when it gets.
they get really spicy, and then do we think maybe the price should go up when we start comboing these things?
To be honest, I'm surprised Chapter Master went
Yeah.
down to 2. Free CP, you go, that's fair enough.
Free CP with the new wording.
Yes, because it's
I
now
think
all. It's just
It's
all hits.
It's almost an auto take now.
I will never not put it in a list.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If I start with more than 10 CP, and I've got a captain in the list, why would I not have a captain in the list?
And you'd almost go Primaris captain to relic that out to 9-inch bubble.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry. Does the relic, the Vox, is that Primaris only?
Primaris captain only.
Oh, interesting. Good. I wasn't cheating. I only have Primaris.
I'm pretty certain it is anyway.
yeah, Vox
Yeah,
is
Primaris
primarily.
only. If the model has this relic, add 3 inches to ranges or abilities, it doesn't affect litanies of battle or psychic
The
powers.
interesting thing where it doesn't stack very interestingly is, and maybe the price should come down for these things that don't stack. If you use that upgrade on a Phobos captain, he no longer buffs infiltrators using comms array, because comms array says, I think the wording
captain,
is
yeah.
the captain has the rights of battle key special ability.
Yeah.
But Chapter Master replaces that rule with
Yeah, with
something-
Chapter Master, with the traditionally called Chapter
an
Master.
ability called Chapter Master.
Yeah.
So he no longer has the original buff.
But if you were talking about using that if you've got 10 command points, you're probably running multiple battalions anyway.
So then do you have 2 captains?
It breaks the fluff, but yeah.
I do. I have one that leads my Phobos and one that leads the rest of my guys.
Yeah.
Not in every list. And I've got...
The dual battalion is why I have a vast quantity of scouts being painted at the moment, because I just need a cheap way of getting command points because I've actually got something to spend them on. The fact now you're not blowing all your command points on Vigilus Attachment, then Veteran Intercessors to get Bolt Storm or its variants and the other weaponry is huge. The fact that you can have your Dreadnoughts ignoring half damage, which again on the Bray of Ashmantle is going to be brutal, especially when he's buffed up to toughness 10.
Going back to what Seb said with transhuman physiology, I've had two separate occasions where that has saved my life. Once, Mephiston actually did not kill a unit, which...
A fully powered Mephiston.
Yeah, I will clarify that as a fully powered up Mephiston as well, so he's proper angry.
Because I was going to say, he whiffs quite a lot if he doesn't get his psychic powers off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But no, he's fully
Luckily, he was fully buffed.
Yeah, he was fully buffed up, and he still didn't kill. It was a 5-man squad as well. He just didn't kill him.
Yeah, but considering he had cut a Storm Talon in half.
Yeah, the turn before.
Yeah, and then skidded across and just then went to demolish a squad.
On a scary side note, one of our colleagues in the store has just got a monolith out of a cupboard, which is something unheard of.
Toby, that's just paperweight.
It probably is a paperweight, but yeah. Sorry, interruption there from the things going on around us.
But also, another time it's really saving me. I had a squad of Incestors screening, and I got charged by Gladys, the Custodes, one of the Custodes Contemptors that has the sword and the shield, alongside a beefy unit of Custodian Guard. And they only managed to kill 5 with that transhuman physiology, because they would normally hit 2s and then 3s, or 3s or 2s, and they go, most of that hasn't actually wounded now, because the 3s and the 2s are where most of stuff comes
because
from.
of the way it's worded, if those 3s and 2s were wounding originally, and someone has re-rolls to wound, thinking Doom, they can't re-roll the 2s and 3s.
No, because it would count as a successful wound.
Yeah.
Until the modifier.
Because is Doom worded as failed, is it? Or failed wound rolls?
Yeah, because it was all like that.
It's Eldar. They've got so many shenanigans and loopholes that I figured that...
I read it, but I assumed it was that.
Yeah.
Because it's all been that in the past. Killerman was that.
So one of the ones that I've been looking at, again, talking about dusting off units, is one that I don't think has got much tension online, is Fury of the First.
Yes, that's really cool.
Making your Terminators give +1, to add 1 to your hit roll. Especially as a Salamander player now getting...
Is it +1 or is it ignore the -1?
It's add 1 to the hit roll.
Add 1 to hit roll.
With power fists, right?
With any weaponry.
Any weapon.
Any weapon.
So yes, that does mean you...
Centurions have the Terminator keyword.
No, they don't.
They have
the
Centurion keyword. Annoyingly. I had thought of that. So what I'm thinking now, especially with the Salamanders now ignoring not ignoring the first AP, but ignoring -1 AP, I've now all of a sudden got Terminators that might actually be survivable, except for weighted dice, because somehow Lasgun still managed to get through their armour. And then actually having Thunderhammers, Storm Shields, Power Fists. Even then, or if you're going against the infantry heavy list,
that lightning claws, because hitting on 2s, reroll 1s because the captain.
That's actually suddenly becomes quite interesting. I have again not run this yet. I need to playtest it, but it may make Terminators actually worth bringing to the table.
Speaking about bringing things that are worthwhile, whirlwinds.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Suppression fire is actually quite a funky little stratagem.
2 CP to fire an artillery piece a second time is pretty common now. That exists in a bunch of Vigilist attachments.
However, the thing that I like about it is the whirlwind and the Funfire cannon. They don't have to fire at the same unit. They can fire at any unit.
I think that's pretty similar to if you fire like a.
Wasn't there one that makes them automatic hitting?
Do I mean Manticore?
Basilisk, because that would be Emperor's Wrath.
Or
Wyvern. Yeah. But it's the fact that actually it gives, because if you take the bare bones whirlwind and give it the Castellan launch, so the strength 6, no AP, 1 damage, 2d6 shots. Turn 1, it's 80 points. That's what it's 80 points of actually turn 1. If you stick it, so that's strength 6 -1. So that's effectively wounding most squishy sort of cultists or guard or grot units on 2s. And you're probably ignoring either their armour or cover if they're behind line of sight in cover. Actually, that's
because they'll launcher ignore. Oh no, sorry, it's because the -1.
The -1 for Devastator Doctrine, but it just means actually you go, your units that were probably safe before.
There are certain formats of the game where ground floor of buildings is line of sight blocking. There are certain formats of the game where inside a building is completely safe.
The old magic box.
And now that Marines have access to a double shoot, now used to the 80 point version, the 85 point version, which is strength 7 -1, 2d3 shots. 2d3 is not really
But then
enough.
it's 2 damage.
Then 2 damage. So that's taking out mortars that are in buildings.
Yep.
Then what's the other variant? D6 shots?
2d6 shots.
2d6.
Strength 6, no AP, 1 damage.
Yeah, I thought it was D6. But
85 points, 2d3 shots, strength 7, -1, -2 with heavy. And then 2 damage is pretty good.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I've been sourcing online. I don't know the trophy. Is there any way of making whirlwinds auto hit now, or have I seen?
No, because that used to be the data link telemetry stratagem, which it was 1 or 2.
It's the fact that that's gone that I've been seeing.
Yes,
Okay,
it was
sorry.
1 or 2. It was 1 or 2 CP, and if there was a land speeder, and that was the issue, there had to be a land speeder within 18 inches of the target
land
unit.
speeders were too expensive to take to realistically take until this
to
point.
then throw away on scouting for a stratagem that relied on multiple units, which they've done away with completely. So they've done away with.
It's good. Kill shot's gone.
Yeah. Which
Kill
is
shot's
why
not in your book, is it?
No, kill shot's not in my book, which is why I've been running.
Sorry, go on, Harry.
Which is why actually I've swapped out that third predator for a vindicator just for a laugh, and actually it's done all right.
Points discount as well.
Yeah, predators have already have had this discount from the load that I did was autocannon. Well, actually no, autocannon and twin ladders same point. So either which way, it is 175 points down from 180.
Right. And it vindicates close to like 110.
125.
Oh, 125.
So
that's more than I pay for that.
Yeah, no, it's more, but it's 50 points. So you can have.
They are toughness 8 though.
The toughness 8. It's to be honest, the way when I've been using it, it's a massive distraction card effect because you just chuck it up the board and go.
Oh, and you can fall back and shoot because you're a smurf.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because my tanks are now basically have pseudo fly. I can be a lot more aggressive with how I want.
It's still -1 to hit though, right? When you fall back.
Yes, however, if you combo with there's a warlord trait in the Ultramarine supplement
Steady Under Fire or something like that.
Calm Under Fire, which if you're within 6 of that warlord, or well, it doesn't have to be warlord because you just spend a CP to give it to a random character.
And you really buffing that distraction card effects vindicator with that?
Yeah, no, you
wouldn't
wouldn't
do
do
a good buff, but
you wouldn't do it. No, you'd use it with a big unit, but
can you give it to a character like Kronos?
No,
put him into a tank.
No, you can't. Annoyingly,
Does it say you can't?
Because Kronos would have a unique warlord trait anyway, wouldn't he?
Yes,
yeah, that's right.
And Exemplar of a chapter is so after nominating Ultramarines character, that is not a named character to be your warlord. So,
if you've got that tank badge, you give it to a tech marine. Just sit there in the back, just buffing.
Well, going back to our game where you had super mobile predators.
Yeah, that's why I put the Primos captain with the Vox relic from the main rulebook. Suddenly, I'm 12-inch movement. Actually, I can kind of go, I'll just be wherever I want. And, alright, yes, Tactical Doctrine helped me because I was shooting and I could move and not care. But also, the first thing that we noticed was, suddenly, my predators were not bunched up tightly together because they had a 6-inch bubble. They had a 9-inch bubble.
So they're like 20 inches apart.
Yeah. So we were thinking actually originally at the end of that game, cool. If Tom would have tied up one of those predators, that second predator is probably gone anyway. But because I could move so far, you really struggled to keep up.
Did kill shot need you to be close to one another?
Yeah, you had to be within 6 of predators.
I don't own 3 predators.
Oh, no, it was within 6 of 2 predators.
Yeah.
So you'd have to run them as a blob.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just 6 of one other. It was 6 of 2
Both.
others.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because you
not
basically
owning a predator, it was one I'd never even really properly read.
But what I always aimed for, and I tried to do it you in the 1750 because you had reduced flyers so close, was just a chain tag along.
Yeah.
Try and wipe out 2, end up on the 3rd, but because
you
you're
not do that.
I could have literally split one of yours in half.
Yeah.
But I would have never got to the second one.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm in the open. I'm thinking, oh god, I'm going to get shot.
But at least in that particular game, from my point of view, was I got fly anyway, being Ravagers, so that way I got out of registers.
I think with more and more -1 to hit stuff when it falls back, but can still shoot. Sorry, -1 to hit when it falls back stuff in the game. I think that people learning to wrap is even more important because those things can't fly.
Yeah.
No.
You only need 3 Space Marines around it, and you can do some really clever stuff where you just attack with your profile.
Say it's just sort of a very casual game, they basically have fly in that case because if you're not being super gamey about how you do your placement of your models, suddenly they can be. Well, we call them slippery blue fish.
And because you're not afraid to move them before they get charged, because you're not suffering the penalty, you can actually put them out a bit further, where then there's space to fall back.
Exactly.
Because a lot of the time I play guard tanks.
You go, do I want to move?
Yeah.
Do I want to move so I don't get charged, or do I stay still and shoot, actually hit something?
Yeah.
Because if you're touching the back of the table, it's even less models to be wrapped. And they might not even necessarily be trying to wrap you. They've just done it
by piling
default,
in.
Because of
to
the
get
way you
people against
deploy it.
content. So sort of going on there, what are we? Especially, I know Tom's been reasonably quiet in this because he doesn't have access to this new codex, being a Blood Angel player. What do we want to see for the non-codex Marines, and what are we thinking how that's going to go?
See some sweet successor chapters
successor chapters. Blood Angels would be great.
But do we think just Angels of Death is enough to give Blood Angels the Wolves? The Dark Angels, who I always forget about. Shock Assault.
If a Blood Angel, massive thing.
Oh, it was absolutely
like
horrible.
we worked out, didn't we, that I could have 15 Death Company pushing out like
Stupid amount of attacks.
hitting on.
But does that alone bring your codex up to par with the new Marine book?
Well,
I think it does.
I think it does, and like playing against Harry, I didn't even bring Death Company. I didn't bring any of the major Blood Angel stuff. It was more just a fluffy test game.
You can't take veteran intercessors, can you?
No, but
Can you take them from the?
No, you can't. It's only the Vigilance Detachment was only Codex Space Marines, so it didn't include Space Wolves, it didn't include Dark Angels, it didn't include Blood Angels or Death Watch.
So has anyone played against it? None of us play Wolves or Dark Angels.
I've played Wolves with. I've played with. Not played with Wolves, but I played against Wolves, and I've seen someone who was playing with Wolves. Bruck. Again, and this was against Jordan's Custodes. Oh my God, Bjorn Felhand is scary. Literally, he slapped his way through.
So where you've got the Wolves
squads.
and the Blood Angels that are predominantly combat-based armies, I think that's fair to say.
Really helps.
That's brought them up, but with Dark Angels potentially historically around plasma castles.
Supplements from the rumour mill. It's not fully confirmed. But that could be that extra little bit of boost they need just to get them back up.
But then if they even run plasma castles, which with the Hellblasters now getting the doctrines,
we don't know who's going to get doctrine type things. Chapter tactics.
Oh, you don't get doctrines, do you? From the
But then they could bring out a specific one for Blood Angels.
Yeah.
That we get like Assault turn 2.
Yeah, or
that'll wind the White Scars players up.
To be honest, actually.
No, it'll just be an all the time thing.
With Blood Angels, if you wanted to use doctrines, you could go cool. A simple way could be you just flip it. So you start with Assault and then you Tactical and Devastator.
Because I don't really use any real. Well, I use Hellblasters in mine sometimes, but I don't have any big devastation squads that would need that.
I use the Predator pack still in my Flesh Terrors.
I tell you what, 2 Bar Predators with Assault Cannon Heavy Bolters, that will clear through most screens fairly easily.
If I was getting an extra -1 from Dev Doctrine, that'd be even better.
Yeah,
because you then 12-inch Flamestorm by taking the Inferno versions of the Bar Predators, they're super fast.
Yeah,
you burn them across the
because what they are
as fast as I would like because it's a heavy weapon.
They need to be Assault. If they made that Assault,
well,
if they're making them Assault, I want an Assault Cannon to be Assault, or at least change it to a rotary cannon.
Or a Land Raider being an Assault vehicle.
Yeah, why not have a thing with an Assault ramp on the front, have an Assault rule, like the Flyno?
In all fairness, actually, I've used that Impulsor as just a proxy of just a regular Rhino. It's great. I didn't actually bother with any of the fancy upgrades. Just kept it stock with the 2 Storm Bolters, and actually it was great because what I used
and then an invuln save. What did you?
No invuln save. Just
I'd be tempted for the shield drone. 4 up. Is it 4 up invuln?
18 points for that invuln save is great, but what I used it for, kept it back on the backfield objective because it's got a 14-inch move. I then sort of turn 3 went cool. That score's fairly devastated. It's down to about 4 guys. I can go pick them up. Hid in the building on the objective, then I think it was turn 5, turn 6. I went, cool. There's an objective over there. Actually, no, it wasn't. There was an objective and there was line breaker. So I popped the Impulsor onto the objective, and then I jumped the Marines out and grabbed line breaker.
That is very nifty.
And
I think
because it was
the invulnerable save would help you with that strategy as well.
Yeah.
18 points. All the upgrades are 18 points, by the way. On that.
17 points for the missile rack.
All right. Well, okay.
But 18 points skill take.
I meant the good
missile rack.
No.
I would pay for the
Shield Dome. I think I'd go.
I would probably, if I just had one.
Yeah.
I would probably buy the Orbital Strike because I come back to the question: would I spend command points on that? No, I wouldn't spend 3 CP on it.
But 18 points. Yeah.
But then every time, especially me and Harry, if you tried using Orbital Strike from the stratagem option of it, it has done so little. Mainly the way we roll dice.
Yeah,
but it has done so little.
There are many competing theories, but that might be something to do with it. The fact actually with that orbital bombardment stratagem, it's not 3 CP, it's 4 CP because you're gonna have to re-roll one of those dice because something you won't hit anything.
Otherwise, you won't kill anything. Yeah.
You won't hit anything.
It doesn't count as a rolling to hit or a rolling to wound, so there are lots of buffs that you've got to re-roll that aren't affecting it because of the way it's works.
But it's not a shooting attack.
The reason why I know the invuln's great, but the reason why I quite liked it was because it was such a it was actually fairly cheap at it's 79 points bare bones. So it was to be honest, we go back to
still with 2 storm bolters, right?
It's just 2 storm bolters.
75 and then 79 storm bolters.
But also, were you guys like annoyed that you couldn't take aggressors in them?
Yeah.
So that was the big theory, wasn't it? It came out, everyone was like, "Oh my god, I can use aggressors."
Yeah,
especially with flame aggressors.
Yes, flame aggressors. Stick on the successor chapter tactic, which gives you +3 inch range. So you've got.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that with flamers.
Have you not?
The problem is my guys are in anything competitive setting. Mine are so definitely salamanders that I can't get away from.
No, you can't.
Unless they're bright green dragon knights. As a chapter then.
No, actually, Toby, you could use the other ones as dark angels. They are painted.
Yeah, the older ones I could use dark angels, but yeah, that's true.
Well, no, hopefully you get something like you always say about in Kill Team.
Yeah,
you've got that wall of flame that you charge through.
The point blank Overwatch.
That would be a viable tactic for them.
I would happily have it exactly the same wording as the Kill Team Arena stratagem, where I spend a command point before when you declare a charge. If you make that charge, you receive the Overwatch. If you don't make that charge, I still spend the command point. I would happily pay a CP to go, okay, you can charge that big blob of aggressors or the Invictor Warsuit or the Redeemer or something with flame. Okay, the Redeemer's got the Invictor 12-inch flamers, so yeah. I would happily pay for that.
What's other successor chapter tactics have you guys been using?
I've been using my nice shiny Codex supplement.
Yeah, not all of us are that blessed yet. You play the Copper Smurfs.
And have you been using
even though you're just out for Legion?
Pure salamanders at the moment. The treating AP1 as minus as AP0 is huge. It just makes you've got to start dedicating some serious firepower to start shifting things like free wound aggressors.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. It becomes quite powerful, and I've always loved the Master Artisans rule. Especially with the word, as far as what I've seen on forums, on discussions online now, the wording of the banner, the Ancients banner, and the Master Artisans ruling means it seems to be proven now. You can definitely use the reroll when you get up again with the banner.
Oh, I thought it was the other way round.
I've seen
decided that because it wasn't a time when the unit.
But then when you read it, it says.
Chosen to shoot.
But then when you read the rules on the banner, it may make a shooting attack as if it was the shooting phase. So then you are choosing to fire that weapon, or stab that bloke, whatever it may be.
I've always had them close enough to a chapter master for the rerolls.
Yeah.
So then
ultimately you're playing in buff circles anyway. But it's the fact that you've got that ability to have the rerolls. The fact the wording on it is on the Master Artisan is now you can reroll. Even it's now not failed, the fact that it's now just re-roll hits and wound rolls. How infuriating you've all played against me, I think, except I played against Sam actually. But you've all seen how infuriated I get with the re-roll on the failed dice. Oh, especially on a captain or something on a 2 to wound. Oh, I've rolled a 3 again, and therefore I can't re-roll it.
And also, Toby, you'll find this now because I play Imperial Guard, but my actual army is Armageddon Steel Legion. Their vehicle doctrine is exactly what the Salamanders now get, and I think all of you have all seen it. Where actually you go, cool. It's all that spare firepower does nothing. Does nothing to them because it was spare firepower that killed vehicles. It just took the last ones off.
Yeah.
Just doesn't do that anymore. You've got to focus fire.
Yeah, the old stripping hull points approach from 7th Ed.
Yeah, same effect. Just doesn't
now
work.
The Marines do that better than ever because we've got strength 4 bolters with -1 or -2 AP across the board, depending on what doctrine you're in, and that is 5s to wound, and I just throw them at whatever's in rapid fire range.
Yeah, when I throw 40 shots down the board, re-rolling to hit, probably re-rolling to wound.
You're going to knock some wounds off.
It's
mathematically that's going to happen.
It's the same way how with the squad of guardsmen with 36 lasgun shots, 37 if you're within 12 for some stupid reason. With first rank fire, second rank fire, you just go. It doesn't sound like it should do much, but actually, you were surprised how many wounds get chipped off, and it only takes a couple rounds to go, hang on a sec, I've lost 4 or 5 guys, and especially if that's coming from just a 40-point squad as well, you're going, actually, that's quite scary.
And suddenly that 80-point squad of intercessors is down to 1-2 guys, and it's like, great, they're pretty much...
Yeah.
But we've all seen where it dies. I mean, looking at, say, a squad of Flamer aggressors, 6 Flamer aggressors with Vulcan stood behind them, is stripping. I think I worked out being conservative with the way the double shot aggressors are now worded. So it's moved in your turn. If you're being charged, you haven't moved in your turn that turn, because you don't move generally in your opponent's turn, unless you've been blown out of a repulsor, which is always fun to surprise people with. I think I worked out that being conservative on Overwatch with Flamecraft, Sharpen and Vulcan, you should, in theory, strip about 19 wounds from an incoming knight.
And interesting,
just in Overwatch.
Toby, going on to your Flamer aggressive things, because I know I've done it where I've jumped to squad of Orcs and gone, I'm going Overwatch with Flamers. Yeah, no, you're not, because I'm 9 inches away. Successor chapter tactics with us plus 3 inch range. Suddenly you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And
cool. You've got to have like locked into that like way before, like you know what your successor chapter tactics are.
Yeah.
So I've gone for Master Artisan and then Stalwart, because Stalwart.
What does that one do? I can't remember.
That's Transhuman's physiology, but 1s and 2s. You can never be wounded on a 1 or a 2. And again, I've come up against Doom with that.
It does help.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, no, you can't reroll that 2. And you can only reroll it once. Doom suddenly becomes a lot worse. But it does make transhuman physiology not.
But then it's an entire army benefit rather than just
what's wounding you on 2s realistically is only going to be
knights and
infantry.
kitty stuff.
Yeah. It's going to be any sort of fun, any close combat would be definitely helpful against some of the hammers, and especially against Blood Angels.
Yeah, Death Company, I can barge it in and suddenly I'm not killing you.
Well, ignoring +1 to wounds like the Blood Angels.
Yeah.
With an all infantry army, it was made perfect sense. Anyone's strength 8, which is all their anti-tank in their entire army.
So with you being painted as Flesh Terrors and not having an official.
Sorry, no. This is my Sons of the Phoenix. Marines.
But being painted up as a
generic
successor chapter.
No, Imperial Fist successor technically now.
Yeah, but in general terms,
being able to go and tailor your successor tactics.
So I looked at the list and I went, I don't have vehicles. This is a good one.
Yeah.
And then I picked Master Artisan because it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Even though I've got Chapter Master and
only
another
get it on
captain.
my planes.
Can I move on to so we've talked about the keywords in general. The fact that Angels of Death almost removes standard Marines from soup. Yes, you can soup, but you lose all the benefits. Do you think
you lose the
doctrines.
You lose doctrines,
but you keep everything else.
Yeah, but in terms of the benefits of the doctrines, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Now, if you're going to soup in power armor, you soup in
Blood
Angels, Dark Angels, Space Wolves.
Death Watch.
Does customs get?
No.
But is that the question? Do you bother with knights?
I want to know if you can use Take a Vindicare.
Yeah.
Ooh,
or Calexis or
Gladius.
With the stratagem approach.
After building the army. So then
does it start at the start of battle round 1? Does it start when does that come into play? I mean, we all know we are a little bit late doing this compared to when the Codex was released, but we're all expecting the FAQ, errata, commentary to come out hopefully imminently. So hopefully those questions will be answered.
The fact that they brought out Blood Ravens and got psyched for that, and
then
their main character just
Gabriel Andros just
ruins your army.
And actually,
but I think I've been talking to the guys that own the shop here. I think we're just going to play it sensibly. If you happen to have a Blood Angel player, Blood Raven army, and you bring Angelos. Yeah. Let's just accept that he probably should have the rule that every other Marine has.
It would only be super competitive tournaments.
It's like with the Imperial Armour Index 1 Forces of Adeptus Astartes. Technically, none of that has Angels of Death either. So theoretically, that should
Did that not get it in the FAQ? They all came out on the same date then?
I don't think. No, it didn't. So, all that did.
That was just a community.
That was a community guideline, not an official FAQ.
I thought something came out on day of release, but
no, it didn't.
So it's It's curious. I mean, I just read into it as if they did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
So, which is
you
fine.
assume it as you do if you're just playing normally, but technically rules as written.
You've lost the argument as soon as you go technically.
Yeah, I know, that's the issue. That's
Let's
the
be
issue.
honest, none of us are going to the LVO.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's
But they'll have a rules
London
pack.
GT.
They're
Yeah,
have to
they're
come-
gonna-
Exactly.
They're going to have to come up with a rules pack for are they going to enforce chapter colours?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I thought they said they did.
this book now enforces them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's up to any
The TO to decide what they're
the
doing.
same to two friends deciding whether or not they're going to
Yeah.
how they're going to play it. We've clearly talked about proxying models.
Yeah.
Obviously, if someone wants to play Salamanders as a Salamander successor, so that they can do some shenanigans,
Yeah,
still
just a-
use Master Artisans, but pick something else.
Yeah.
You wouldn't stop.
I mean, helping the guys here set up the tournaments that we run, which are for small, friendly, 1,000-point tournaments, we will probably be enforcing the rule in the book that if you are painted as a Blood Angel, you are a Blood Angel.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're
I
relying.
don't think it affects Blood Angels yet because it's only
That was just.
affecting
I
the-
was looking at Tom when I said that was the only reason. But if you are painted quite clearly as a Smurf, or I know your guys are somewhat different because you're not using the official colour patch, but you look like one.
Well,
and
yeah,
you've got
no,
Ultims
I've-
on your shoulder pads.
I've got
So-
the Ultramarines logo. I'm just a light shade of blue.
Yeah.
But I'm still Ultramarines through and
You're
through.
sun bleached.
Death blue.
If you're,
To be honest, it's more baby blue.
Well, it goes with your Papa Smurfs. then.
Exactly.
yeah, so I think we will probably be playing it if you are painted like a chapter, which is clearly recognisable as a chapter. You are that chapter.
Yeah. And to be honest, from coming to the tournaments here, like you are pretty lax on like different models.
But then-
big
That's mainly because Ben,
proxies.
the owner of the place, doesn't own half the model he wants to put
Yeah,
on.
we're choosing all sorts as Tyranids, you know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting question whether or not that extends to other armies other than Marines. As far as I've been concerned, if someone tried to use a Gilliman as in a red army, I'd be like, I don't really like
Well,
that.
if you think about it,
Well, if someone
there's
did that in Eldar, I
there's
wouldn't care. Or
Darren Lantham's got his Silver Skulls interpretation of Gilliman on Instagram,
Yeah.
and that looks brilliant. And you, for the sake of that, you go, yeah, no, use it
just a
because it's a
chapter
really cool
Yeah.
model. I'm very much of the opinion that if you've got something cool and you paint and it's painted really well, sure, go for it. So
Just
when
give them chapter
If it's
master
not bare
rules.
plastic, then we're.
Yeah.
And again, we discussed before we started recording that I've been looking at getting the 30k Vulcan model,
Same with me with
and you've been
Sanguinius.
saying with Sanguinius. Okay, Sanguinius is technically dead in the 41st
Just
millennium.
use Sanguinius.
Vulcan is probably not dead.
Spectre's still on the Power Spirit. He can come back.
He can come back. That's why Baden wouldn't let it die when the ship died.
Psychic Awakening.
But we said, if we do it, it's roughly the same size as Gilliman's current plastic kit. We would probably allow it to run it as Gilliman's rules.
Yeah.
In one of our friendly tournaments.
Make sure he's on the right base. Make sure he's got the similar-ish silhouette, which actually the 30k Primarchs.
Oh,
Slightly smaller silhouette.
Vulcan's a big boy.
he's a very big boy.
Still a slightly smaller
Yeah.
silhouette. And you have to put him on his scenic base to get him up to a 60, but that's not a problem.
No.
But the Silver Templars are Ultramarine successors, so that is.
Also, yeah,
So then now you're really defining,
Yeah.
whether-
Someone stuck a spray can to his arm before the battle.
but
him up wrong.
it's the fact that it's more of a, if you've dedicated that time, you've bought that model, you've painted it up. I don't want to be known as that dick that says, no, he's not painted the right shade of blue. Well, I know I can't speak because I've got a light blue Smurf army.
You're technically Spears of the Emperor.
Yeah, I know.
aren't you? Emperor.
Good old Dunk of his painting tutorials.
The only army I care about, whether or not someone sort of follows the fluff, is Marines. Maybe Chaos Marines too, to a slightly lesser extent. But any
You
Xenos-
just
Xenos
love the
army-
colour of the Emperor's children.
All right.
Well, until the actual codex came out, you were going that line, weren't you? You're
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
Kind of a Emperor's Children feel. You're going to have Demon Primer.
No, redacted. That's not true.
The
But-
Inquisition is watching.
It does make you think, with the fact that Angel's Death you lose benefits for compared to a pure Marine army.
Oh, that's how we got onto this.
Do you think they might do that for other armies?
I hope they do.
Which I know there's a bit of a running joke that word bearers are rubbish. They are. Which I was thinking about
Yeah,
it
but
the other
Lorgar
day.
deserves it.
Yeah, no, there are several reasons. I hate them with a burning passion. But if So if the trait legions all got benefits, because let's be honest, new codex rules for each chapter tactics for the Space Marine, the Loyalist legions are basically their original +1. Could you make, if I just chuck this into the air just as a random idea, what if the Wordbearers got their reroll morale as they already do, but then they were the only codex that could take Chaos Demon Codex, and Chaos Demons still got all their benefits, but it gave them a reason to run because they are primarily first traitors. They are the Legion with Space Marines and the Demons.
They would be the ones who are allowed to soup in demons without losing one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it, because the problem with them is that their trait is what Space Marines get for free.
Exactly. It gives them something.
They've only got not even a trait, whereas Marines have now got 2.
Yeah.
Plus that.
It still somewhat agrees me that they don't get no fear as standard because they were Marines. So going into warp and living with scary things, they suddenly get scared by them.
In 30k, no Marines have no fear.
True.
There was
You
a
can
lot
punch
more
one Marine
falling
off and
back.
chase the whole squad.
Yeah.
7th edition 40k Marines would fall back and immediately auto regroup, or if they fell back in combat,
unless they were
would
Chaos
immediately
Marines.
fight as if they were.
Lookouts, if I remember right. From back
They
in the day.
would immediately fall back.
Yeah.
If they lost in combat, they would immediately rally as if they were fearless. And then 30k took that idea and said, they don't have that yet. Let's make it more interesting. Let's have falling back, but ignore they used to be
So
about
they
25%.
modifies it, yeah.
Yeah.
If you under that, you couldn't rally. But the newer rules for morale, everyone says that the Chaos guys they get so involved with their combat, and that's why some more of them died. When a Khorne Berserker runs away, I don't like the fact Khorne Berserkers run away.
No, they don't. They don't run away. They get shot in the face.
Everyone says that, but I still don't like it.
Yeah, no. It's
But if you think back to when they
Rolling
were,
the dice doesn't really help with that.
but when you think back,
fear is not the rule that
yeah,
keeps them-
true. When you think back to saying Khorne Berserkers, when you think back to when they were revealing 8th on the community pages, and the idea when they revealed the changes to the morale phase was it represents not just them running away, but picking up the wounded and so on and so on. Khorne Berserker ain't picking up his wounded mate.
No.
He's might behead him, but that's
proper old.
As long as the skull comes from anywhere, then.
Yeah. And nice shade of red.
Yeah, but I mean,
I hate
no
when
fear is
spinning
not
Khorne
a
red on you.
particularly good rule as it is. The morale phase is one of the weakest parts of the game right now.
Yeah.
It's so abstract and it doesn't really reflect what's going on. The old rules of the unit falling back was very strange, but at least you could imagine what it was.
Would you perhaps go for the kill team approach if then your models are still on the table, but they are shaken and cannot act in certain ways for the next phase?
Are we then going to start lying models down and saying that they're gone to ground again?
Every other GW game's got tokens.
That's
We
true.
don't really see tokens on the table except for wound markers.
True.
Which they don't supply.
No,
But it's not a.
they sell dice, which you can't read if it's a 1 or a 6. But
I like mine. I've got some where the ones are just skulls,
yeah, that's an easy.
and they roll
I
really
hate
good.
those dice with a passion.
I know.
They roll so well.
Everyone should find some dice
Oh,
that roll really well for them.
Tom,
Harry, they don't exist.
give Seb's dice to me. I'll break them.
You have the
Leave them
touch.
with Harry for 20 minutes, and he'll just touch them, and they will be gone.
You won't have any Hell Blasters left at least.
Yeah.
Well, I reroll everything.
do you want
So does Harry with reroll ones on his card and they still explode. You've got one guy who's ever survived a game without killing himself.
Yeah, but at the same time,
So-
he has never been killed by an enemy.
This is true. This commissar is happy.
So the rules like the Commissar's execution when it first came out, it's called summary execution. That is so fluffy, and it represents exactly what's happening. The rule reflects the fluff perfectly.
Yeah.
Unlike the morale phase, where some of the guys from the squad ran away. I can't imagine 10 Marines. Well, I'm using the
Yeah.
Earth term, not the 40th Millennium term. But then some of them leaving the battlefield
Yeah.
in a disordered way, but leaving their bodies behind. Seems so unlikely that an extra D6 of them run away, or an extra D3 because someone ordered them to stay, whatever. Or insane bravery.
And interestingly, it was one of those ones that when the Guard Codex first came out, Fearless Conscripts were a massive pain in the ass to deal with. And GW quite quickly afterwards changed it over to a to you just get to reroll morale. that was fine. However, there are so many other large mob units. So Genecot have got it in droves. Orcs use it by just sheer weight of mass. Tyranids got synapse. So morale phase is a concept that Ben doesn't know.
The fact you can pay 2 CP just to ignore that on
Yeah.
the unit. I'm like, oh god, I'm going to lose a unit.
I mean,
But I've still got 10
And
CP.
the 30
Cool.
conscripts, the 20 to 30 conscripts, oh no, they couldn't have it. The problem was that commissars were so damn cheap,
Yeah.
and they were very difficult to be killed
Because
they're
they were
behind
characters.
20 conscripts. That meant that you could repeat that buff multiple times throughout your army. Whereas lots of the other things you described, not including Tyranids, but that's their special thing.
Yeah.
You can kind of only do it around a warlord trait or a warlord.
Yeah.
To
The
make
exception
fearless
with,
bubbles.
But then
exception
now
with the
with-
orcs as well, because
Orcs
that
have a different morale thing.
because it's done by unit mass, but also it's not only that unit's
Nearby
mass,
units too,
it can be a nearby unit as well. So if you've got tons of boys on the field, morale's practically not working.
Yeah, but then that's also the rules reflecting the fluff.
Yeah.
If 90 boys are charging forwards, the fact that I killed 25 from that squad, I've actually only killed 25 out of the 120.
Yeah, because
So
it's
you
not.
think
why
to the
would they
Tower
not-
Bonding Knife ritual, so which infuriates me every time.
When they
But
roll a 6.
They roll a
also
6 and
die.
that squad should be gone, but they
That's
still
also
like...
free.
I know it's
And that
it's
stone that you use from your ethereal sense of stone.
Yeah.
That's
It's-
just like-
Yeah.
it's just
Oh,
like-
I've suddenly got a. Feel
Got a
no
bit,
pain.
yeah.
Six up there.
And
It's-
suddenly
it's-
you're making those as well. And you're just like, are you going to die today, please?
it's even better when it's Paul and his bloody demons.
Oh yeah, they come back.
Yes,
That's-
so you spend half a game. Sorry about that. Ben's just dropping random stuff.
a bin.
Rapid
a bin.
shot.
Yes, we are very civilised here. It's the fact that you will spend half turn gunning a bunch down, and then you just come back and you go.
Yeah, and
Unlike the Necrons who get punished down and one gets back up again, and then you kill him and the squad's gone.
yeah. I wish that things like mortal wounds and high enough strength stopped Necrons from coming back, but they don't need to be.
No, they're already in the bin. There's no
They
point,
pay a premium for their ability to come back, and then
and it doesn't get used that often.
then you whack the squad, so you don't get any benefit
Yeah.
from their premium you're paying for them.
But it's like the issue that Marines had originally with paying for power armor. It was they paid a premium for a free up save, but there's so much stuff that just ignores it. Or mortal wounds, just so actually it's the same issue.
We
in
saw
Necrons,
it
like-
with Primaris as well when he went, oh, it's nice, Primaris got 2 wounds, but then every other book brought out so many 2 damage weaponry that
Dark Elder.
the
Disintegrate guns. Like, you
Just
have
shred.
Primaris. I've got -3, 2 damage.
yeah.
I'm going to
Dark Lords have got
shred.
their star cannons do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to shred your Marines.
To be honest,
Easily.
autocannons for the guard are 10 points. You chuck enough of those out there, straight 7 to win you on freeze, -1. I know you won't care about it now with you ignore -1 AP, but you're going, cool, you failed the save. That is a dead intercessor.
Yeah, it's why 5 intercessors are only 85 points. They're only 20 points more than 5 tactical marines.
I like the
They've
fact
doubled
tactical
number of
marines went
wounds.
down though.
They
They
went
were
down
now
to
at
60.
point. The tactical
Sorry,
marines
it
are
used to be
points.
65, but now they're 60.
Yeah.
Ooh. 5 scouts, 55.
Yeah, why am I?
5 tactical marines.
Why do you think my
60.
bench is full of scouts at the
So-
moment?
The question is then,
No, I'm asking. My question would be, why aren't they all intercessors? For only an extra 30 points, you get double the wounds and bolt guns.
it's I suppose if you want a cheap battalion, do you go cool? You lose 5 points, you get a weaker armor save, but then you get a ton of movement benefits with things like infiltrate, or do you
Yeah.
go 5?
That's
or,
why I'm doing it.
Or do you spend 5 more points
It's the
and just have a 2-up armor save in cover?
I'm effectively
Yeah.
looking at it from the old way of whereas before I would have perhaps souped in a squad of guard battalion. I'm now looking at going, do I chuck on
Bunch of scouts.
a bunch of scouts and maybe some of the Phobos
Yeah,
stuff?
'cause you got the, you spec them out 9 inches, and then 12-inch covering your own
And
line.
then
You've suddenly
you
got-
also, your mono codex again.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
still get wee benefits.
And then I would probably you then have a line of scouts with that battalion basically probably push up, and I'd probably put the new war suit in there as well. So you've got squishy speed bump, but it's them
there's some
protecting the big
absolute
boys in the
bricks
background.
inside.
You just go right. That's them allowing me to bring the big guns up to bear while you're having to deal with either objective camping scouts, punchy war suits, flamers, that sort of thing.
Cool. Well, as we know, Nova is happening right now.
Yep.
It's all over Twitch and forums and everything.
I forgot the time difference. It surprised me this morning. When what's going on now?
I woke up this morning thinking like, what's happening right now?
Why is Peter Parker now featured as a model?
Yes, Emo Shrike is now a thing.
Stuff-wise, it does work though.
Yeah.
I don't like the emo Shrike ones. I'm gonna say it.
I like the model.
And
With the exception of the base, I like the model. It
You don't like
suits.
the base.
No,
I don't like the base. I think the base is about. If it was a half an inch shorter, I think the base. It's too much base. I think
the
is
issue
my
is-
He's going to be as tall as an executioner.
With the
hide him.
I think the issue is with the base. It's like when you see someone model on Space Marine Captain, and they put sort of, it looks like about a metre of rock they're standing on. It's only on 25mm base. It doesn't look right on
The proportions are slightly.
Yeah.
I love the jetpack. The new jetpack thing looks really cool. I think it really suits the idea of using the new tech, cobbling it together to make it work. The lightning claws, people say.
They're normal lightning claws.
I hope they are exactly what he had before he got
Well,
beefed
they were
up.
mastercrafted 2 damage lightning claws
Yeah,
previously.
and I hope they're exactly what he had previously. So the fluff bunny in me says it's there because he's gone. These are my lightning claws. I'm keeping them regardless what you do to me, and
same
he's
way
just
he's-
strapped them to his suit,
in the
which
same way
is
he's strapped his
looks slightly
helmet to his
smaller.
suit.
The beaky helmet. Yeah. Why would you get rid of your relic? Why would you get rid of your relics just because you've been primarisified?
Yeah.
Did they get curled up at the ends?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They're hooked up.
Like the
And they
50
put
days
really,
off?
and they put them on like mini version on his feet as well.
Well, they kind of look like the guy from the Death Watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chappie.
With the curve on the ends. They're kind of close to that.
So do you think that's the new way of them?
I think that's a new style of them.
Well,
They're
in
not,
fact,
they're not like
do you-
looking like
do you
Wolverine
think?
anymore.
Do you think they've done that because the amount of times that someone has snapped a lightning claw because they just point out,
But a
so
lot
they
of-
just
A lot of the
No, I
art,
don't think so.
a
I
lot
think
of the
it's-
artwork shows them as having that curve on the end.
I think it's very much a Ravens thing
Yeah.
to have them curved at the end.
Yeah.
Their dark
It looks more
Furies
like Talon
in
now.
30k rule. I can't think what their talons were called.
Dark Furies.
Dark Furies was the unit, but then they had a name for their unit.
Yeah.
lightning claws, and they were curvy at the end. Whereas Blood Angels weren't. I think that's fairly reasonable.
Yeah, but then I think what that model being released, regardless of your thoughts on it, indicates is that we know then we have the Iron Father Primaris model,
We've seen
which
that
we've seen in
technology.
that Tech Marine
The
Iron Father
seems to have
model,
disappeared into
which
ether.
hasn't been released yet, which we're all thinking would be quite a nice conversion for a standard Tech Marine, as well as being a gorgeous
I'm
Iron Hand.
surprised they haven't made
Primaris
Primaris Tech.
Yeah. And then you've got the Shrike model, which the fact they've released it usually indicates it's only a few weeks away from.
Well, yeah, you'd
being-
have thought that about the Tech Marine, but he wasn't released.
That
The
was a,
pictures of him were released at an event similar to this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, but it's in because he was in the cabinets in the UK and everyone was
So
taking
it's-
pictures of him.
but then that was before we knew the supplements are coming. So I'm wondering whether that then puts more weight behind the rumours that the next
to a
batch is going to be Iron Hands and Raven Guard.
Well, I think that anything that comes out of an event like this, you can't tell the timescale from it yet.
With the exception of the System of Battle, which says November 2019
Yeah,
underneath
when
it,
there's
or
a
above it,
precise
wherever.
date.
Yeah.
When they actually print the date. That's the System of Battle. We think we've all come to the conclusion of gorgeous sculpts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, they put a lot of work into it.
Which
Yeah.
they've had enough time to design them. I think that's a
I
fair.
feel like it's a passion project and they were told they had to be monopose. And I don't know whether that's because they were afraid they weren't going to make enough money.
I think it's. To be honest, I think.
Or is this first wave?
Yeah, it is a first
It's
wave.
first
sure.
wave. I think what it is personally is the fact that they are giving just a bit. They're giving some love to some old sculpts, and let's be honest, in kind of the way that the classic metal regiments were, they're a bit of a collector's speciality.
Yeah.
So actually, yes, they're monopose, but quite often the collector's only going to get a box of that,
But
box
think-
of that. It's not meant to be a
no,
full army work.
Think back to Dark Imperium. They were monopose. It took them. How long did it take for? And the same we saw with Shadow Spear, where you have the monoposed infiltrators. The infiltrators.
We still don't have infiltrations yet.
Yeah, which we know there's a multi-part kit coming because we're all assuming. Well, we're assuming the multi-part kit coming. We know there is actually. It's
Yeah,
beast.
because he's got.
And
the
we're gonna
same
get. They're
kits
gonna
as
have the
Incursors.
incursors in that box. So,
Then that's going to be more expensive than the current
but then just
10-man kits, is it? Because they're already 30,
They're 35-ish quid. something like that.
35 for 10.
Yeah,
Is there more?
I only know the
It's gonna be
prices
more
here, so.
Because we're going to get double heads and we're going to get double guns.
maybe.
But
But
I suppose they could just do a
they
gun
were-
thing similar to the
or they
existing
do
Hellblasters.
all they do exactly the same kit, and then just do like they've done with some of the models, and you have an additional sprue in there. So thinking Dark Elder, Raider, and Ravager is the same kit, just with an extra sprue for the Ravager guns in there. So would you get an Incurser?
It's like all the it's all like
a
all the
sprue
Rhino
with the
chassis.
heads, the mines, the
No,
guns.
that's not a effective cost way of doing it. The most effective way for them to do it is multi-part, but then they charge us more for it.
Yeah.
So what I expect them to do is kind of like what the Intercessor kit, which is you get 4 sprues, but 2 of them are duplicates of each.
That's
They'll-
so they could sell them as fives and stars
Yes.
and things.
I think
Very
they'll-
clever, yeah.
I think what they'll do is cool, there's a double sprue that makes a 5, you can either have, and you pack them through with everything, but I think they'll just double it up for a 10-man squad.
Yeah.
They'll charge for the roof of it, because you get all the options.
It's still 4 sprues, which is normally a good way of telling the price. You look at the number of sprues and you look at how many things it can be built into, and you can figure out how much they're going to sell it for.
Yeah.
I just feel that if it's anything over 35 quid, that's a lot.
So where I get what's coming from with that is that you go, okay, you've got the monopose, which
Yeah.
was the monopose the first wave of the sisters stuff, and then the multi-part kits will come in a year or so's time,
will
like
make
we
them
saw
more
with
money.
Dark Imperium and Death Guard.
Because people will buy 2,000 point armies of this, and
Then when the monopose comes out, they'll go, I want to do my
Multi-part will
convert.
come out.
Yeah. So when the multi-part kit comes out, they'll then go, I want to do my conversions
that was the
and
old
so on and
school
so forth.
release sort of system. Was you would release a codex plus half the army,
Yeah.
and then there would be entries in the codex that weren't out yet.
Yeah.
So people would buy up a 2,000 point army of what was available,
Yeah.
and then when you release the extra stuff, they would often then nerf the original
Well,
in an FAQ. and
yeah.
then
As
sell
a,
another.
as a prime example, back in 5th edition, the Blood Angels had access to the Storm Raven. That was the first time the Storm Raven was there. That wasn't released till, I think it was late 2000s.
Yeah, it was
2010.
second wave of their codex release. So their original wave was like the Death Company and the Sanguinary Guard. But then it was, you're right, months, and then they had second wave. Their
Yeah,
second
which was all the Dreadnoughts and all the Dreadnought chassis and the Storm Raven.
Yeah,
And
that's a pretty good second wave too, actually.
Yeah, it was decent. It was a decent wave. It almost started Blood Angels in 5th edition.
It's going to happen again.
I had Blood Angels at that time, but then I had a friend start them up at the same time, and then he sold his collection to me, which is how my ridiculous Flesh Dreams army started.
Inherit a lot of collection.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I've never.
It's
played
a
Dark
slippery
Angels
slope,
twice.
this hobby.
Yeah,
I've
very much
inherited
so.
several thousand points of Dark Angels and not used them yet. Fingers crossed for a codex.
Yeah, I'm
Got
so
one.
happy that
Well,
Psychic
I knew a good
Awakening,
one.
Okay. Yeah.
Psychic Awakening wasn't in the spells.
Yet.
Yeah, no, we probably will come at some point because it is very successful on AOS.
They'd have shown us the models in this release, this
Yeah.
announcement, if there was going to be models.
I'm wondering if this is the end, the gateway for endless spells. Whether this campaign, if it is what the name would imply, this is the start of 8.2.
Are you sort of, Toby,
So you
are you
end up
sort of describing a bit like the campaigns and rules for the sort of like the end time, not the end times of fantasy, but the sort of what's it? Not the one where they got Gilliman back, and I can't remember what it's called. The
Gathering Storm.
Gathering Storm. That was it. It was just series of campaign sort of
And
campaigns.
at the end of it, where we get Psychic Awakening, it could be it builds through the rules build, and then there is the end of the. They drop all. They've already said there's new unit models coming out. They've already said there's new rules coming out.
Plastic Banshees.
Plastic Banshees. My only worry with that is that we seem to be getting what have the community been screaming about in very loud numbers. Plastic Aspect Warriors, Plastic Sisters. Is the lion riding a Thunderhawk not far away? We
No,
have
he's
that.
still
So
in
the
bed,
lion.
his alarm hasn't come off yet.
Psychic Awakening, Lion Asleep, Awakening, Waters in the Dark, probably psychic related. Could this
got
be?
that whole fallen and building up on the other side of the rift?
Yep, and how if this is being released now, we're not far off till the biggest sales time of the year commercially, which is towards Christmas. And if it builds, if they start releasing the books now, do one a month till Christmas, campaign books, you could then almost be.
They leave longer between books than that.
You could see, but that's my wonder is, will you see, because this trailer talks about the greatest threat to humanity and so on and so forth, we won't be alone, so all the standard stuff that comes out of the Grim Dark.
Shoot yourself in the head for having an Eldar symbol come up.
Yeah, there's all that. Is this going to be return of the Lion because he's back to save humanity, or
I think the thing that surprised me about that is when they said all factions, and it clearly shows that there are also Necron, there are also Tau, the armies that have never had anything psychic related
Quite
first.
clearly in the fluff are not understanding of the warp and chaos.
Yes,
But then-
but have something
well,
potentially to do with it.
Necrons have had with gloom prisms.
Gloom
They
prisms.
have a war piece that no one takes because I think it's quite expensive for its points cost.
But it allows
And you can only take it on spiders, I think, which no one takes. But the Tau is a really easy explanation. They ally an auxiliary race that has Psychers.
Yeah, they just need someone. Yeah,
I'm sure there's already somewhere in the fluff actually.
I think they're a enforced coalition. I think is the best way.
Or a covenant. Yeah.
Yeah, they just go. We found someone.
But then Custodes are very heavy. We haven't got Psychers.
They can
which-
deny though, can't they?
Hang on, that's where I'd be interested to see with this Psychic Awakening. Do you think we might get some love for Sisters of Silence?
Well, where they're with some really strong anti-cycling.
Yeah,
I'd be
Maybe.
interested because
that'd probably wave 2
They are just
rather
sat
than
there in the Talon.
There
could be
I've
some
got
more.
a set at home I've never used.
But
they're
again,
a multi-part kit.
Yeah.
Why are they a multi-part kit and Sisters of Battle aren't?
but you also look at it and go, we've seen Inquisitors, Sisters of Silence. Does this mean we'll get Agents of Imperium style book coming out with Assassins actually in a book, with Sisters of Silence, with Inquisitors?
Legion of the Damned as well.
Legion of
that's,
the Damned.
That's I've got
They're
those
quite
on the shelf
psychic.
somewhere.
Legion of the Damned get mentioned really hard in the Space Marine book,
But they're not
as
in the book.
Not being allowed to take them
Yeah,
with these tactics. So yeah, where are their rules going to be written?
Well, because currently they're only indexing their
They
Space
could-
Marine Index.
Well, they were in the previous codex, right? They were in the
No,
previous
they
No,
weren't.
they were in the
They
index.
were only in the index.
Right.
Yeah, they are
Which-
solely index only.
which again we think we've got to be coming to the point where the indexes stop becoming allowed in the next year
Well,
or
they're
so.
doing their legends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
things.
if people are already phasing out index options at events,
Yeah.
you can say on the
Their event pack.
on their event pack, on their rules pack, that they don't allow index, and just changing its name to legends
Yeah.
and removing all the stuff that we do have in codexes doesn't stop events from still just saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
no
they'll-
legends allowed.
They're gonna
Unit choices, unit choices must be in a codex.
Yeah.
Compendium existed and it got phased out, and the fact that it's called Compendium
Yeah.
or Legends,
But some of
means
those,
that it's easier for events
Yeah.
to say no to.
but some of those units are in the Azure, is it the app that's actually useful for iOS with
Oh yeah,
the,
most of them are. Yeah,
so
yeah,
you can still
because the
still
rules
be
exist.
yeah.
But
Just down,
events
it's
will
all
say
down to
no,
the event organisers.
often because their rules don't get updated properly.
It's
Forward world.
yeah.
Their points don't get changed regularly enough. Although to be fair,
To be honest, with chapter approved, this has probably been
Yeah.
the most times. I'm surprised that 12 months down the line, I'm actually changing Forge World points values. You go, I'm still 5 years early.
yeah,
should-
yeah.
Aren't Forge World now within the rules team
Yeah,
of
the
Yeah.
rules team who were writing to
Yeah.
stuff now does
Forge World
Forge
stuff? But
points costs. That got sort of taken over at least when
A little
Chapter
while
Approved
back,
started
yeah.
doing points for them post their index, which we must be coming up on this year's Chapter
October-ish.
Approved.
What big? What you mean big FAQ?
no,
chapter-
Oh, chapter approved. Proper chapter approved.
October-ish, November-ish
That's
usually.
October, November
Chapter
time.
approved.
It's
2020?
usually post Nova, isn't it? Because they delayed it to say we're going to look at what happened at Nova to see.
No, the
Was that last
The,
year before? Was that?
No, the rule of three came out from one of the major tournaments because someone
but that
ran.
because
yeah.
of FAQ. Those rules are FAQ based. Chapter approved. It's lead
combines
time.
everything together.
Yeah.
Its lead time is too long.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
If
because they're going to
Nova's
be.
this weekend,
Yeah.
then they would start then changing chapter approved and then send it for printing in China.
Yeah,
And
true.
then a boat full of books has to be sailed from
It's-
China.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're cutting it quite fine at that
It's
point.
going to
And
be
it won't
hard.
come out before Christmas.
Which is why
Is chapter approved?
the Novus,
It-
the
it-
Nova
no,
stuff
it-
will come
yeah.
out
I was wondering,
from
is it
a
still
big
produced in
FAQ, an
China?
online edition.
Oh, yeah, all the books are.
Yeah. Well,
Although
I
it's
thought someone
softback, isn't
had.
it?
Yeah, I thought someone had told me that some of the stuff they have still got print. I'm sure someone told me there is still a printing works at Nottingham, but
No,
obviously
all
we
the codexes are Chinese.
we know the codex is Chinese. We know a lot of the train kits are Chinese now as well.
Yeah, you can tell based on the plastic.
You can tell because it's written on the back of the box.
Well, when you get the terrain plastic, it's a different colour, it's different sort of
I've
density.
painted enough of it for this store recently to know that. Looking around to see it. I never want to paint gold ruins ever again. Or gold onto
I
ruins.
think it's the most Kill Team sets I've seen painted anywhere in my entire.
Or other than just on the box art.
Yeah, just literally the amount of buildings that Toby has had to paint is unreal.
Harry's done a couple.
I've done a few.
And the corn red buildings that you must now absolutely despise corn.
No, I actually quite like painting them. They're easy. It's the white ones behind you.
Well, yeah, because there are so many fine details on the Sector Imperialis new terrain sets that you go.
The old one was ridiculous too.
Oh yeah, the old one was quite challenging.
We just made the mistake of assembling them before we painted them. We should have painted them
Painted wall by wall.
blocks.
Yeah,
If you leave the floors up, you can paint the whole floor
Yeah,
one colour,
we-
and then the walls a different colour.
Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff we didn't think about before we started. We just glued models
in
together.
all fairness, I mean, we just
used
got a
it
bunch
for
of
trade.
boxes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we just said, right, we just need a bunch of terrain just to make the stores playable.
Yeah.
That's it.
Alrighty then. Well, thanks you guys for.
Was there anything else from the Nova? Like we've gone through a few bits.
Well,
There was
Necromunda,
there's
the-
Necromunda.
There was the new Skeleton Horde stuff, which looks quite tasty for Catan.
Tomb Kings again. Yeah.
With Tomb Kings, but not Tomb Kings, but looking quite tasty for Necron Catan conversions if they become worth taking. The new Lord
Seen
looks
as
quite
many
cool.
memes for the new Tomb Kings as I've seen for
Peter
Parker.
memes today.
Yeah.
Peter Parker.
Yeah, I think the old Grimdank subreddit is quite hive today.
They've had field day to have the release.
Then I feel like we're missing something, aren't we? From the Nova.
Well, for 40k, Nova's not that big. Everyone predicted it was going to be big AOS announcements.
Yeah, they've been building and building and building.
Yeah. And
Well, a
their new
sub-faction,
version
yeah.
Of,
No, it's a whole army, right? Like it's another faction of death.
It's
And
yeah,
they've
yeah,
got
of course
their
it
new
is. Yeah,
Conquest
it's just under
as well,
Nagash.
that's coming out.
Oh,
Well, the
yeah.
AOS version of Conquest.
AOS
Yeah.
Conquest, which isn't the new.
And
guys.
there was some more Warcry announcements.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Some more
something
war
from
bands.
Necromunda, which
Yeah, I
is
didn't
out
actually look what that
playing.
was. No,
It
it's,
was literally just a teaser trailer of. I think there was a.
it's still the
brief-
LBTs, or are they? No, they're out now, aren't they? LB.
Yeah, the Space Police are out. I saw the trailer for it. It was basically. I sort of a glimpse. It was kind of just.
I unfortunately
Some
saw
sort
the
of,
announcements and then was slightly late to go to work, so I had to
Yeah.
run up the road.
It was. I think it was just some sort of. You know how they've sort of started doing mercenaries, and that sort of.
Guns of Hire type.
Yeah,
stuff,
that's.
is it?
I
Okay.
think it was something more to do with that, just with something chaotic cult wise.
Maybe I should take it more closely. I just feel like I
Unless you're Chaos Cultist, there's not much point in worrying about it
Actually,
if you don't play
speaking
Necromunda.
of Sculptors, those Blackstone Forger ones are lovely.
they
Oh,
are.
yeah, it's good.
They're
Yeah.
my those.
Yeah.
And there's lots of duplicates, which is a shame
Yeah.
because they're so nice, but they're so good that two over the same model
Isn't
Look wrong.
spoils
is
the
Yeah.
fun.
distracting.
And they're so well kitted that they're really hard to convert.
It's not like there's
sensibly,
five
because there's
auto
6
guns.
parts to each arm, sort of thing.
Well, I mean, Games Workshop have been doing that with their monos for a while, where
Yeah.
you can't really, not including Space Marines,
Yeah.
who you can always basically kit bash a mono those because of the way the arms glue to
Yeah.
the torsos.
But even
Give
Death
it half
Guard are a
chance, you
nightmare to do some of them because without getting your saws and clips out to go through some of the chunkier sections.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And,
But
it's
then
the
again,
same
with Death Guard, you just put a lump of green stuff in its tentacle.
No, just don't get in the bottom of Nobles Rock.
Yeah, that's true.
everything you guys just said is just blasphemy. I hate it. The new Death Guard models are so nice. Spoiling them either of the things you just said.
in all fairness,
You've seen my army, my version of the cover isn't here.
the Death Guard models are nice. There is some of their specific sculpts I do feel are a little bit too busy, but all in all, it is a lovely update to, let's be honest, a very classic army.
The fact it wasn't an army before.
Yeah, it was Plague
Subfaction
Marines.
wasn't it? Well, it wasn't even, it was a data sheet realistically, wasn't it? It was Plague of Marines in
they
it.
had Plague Marines,
And you had Mark and Nurgle Space Marines.
which
Yeah.
were good because they were all
Oh,
tough.
times 5. They were horrid troops to get rid of.
Honestly, we were talking about making word bearers good earlier. What if the marks of chaos were?
What, like there's additional chapters?
Yeah.
So you've got
Yeah.
one trapper tactic from being
Corn,
Nurgle or
yeah.
Corn, and then a different one for being word bearers or.
Yeah, I've seen that banded around the internet a few times. You go, okay, so Khorne gives you the +1 attack, so you say, you
Plus
end up,
2 attack with
or
shock.
+2 attack with shock, like that sort of approach, and then you go,
Or Corn does +1 strength instead.
yeah, something like
I
that.
mean, it's not
Nurgle
just-
gives you +1 toughness if you're not already but not Death Guard, because that would be toughness 6 Plague Marines, which would be
horrid.
horrendous.
You can take regular plague marines, so you'd have to be really careful with the wording on that.
Yeah, keywords would be of interest there. Don't know what you do for
Maybe if they already have the keyword on their profile, then the ability is already included.
possibly.
So if you turn someone who doesn't yet have a mark into a mark, then they get it. But if
You
they're
can
already
give say +1 to cast for Zinch.
No, because at that
Or
point
something like that.
it would be
Or something psychic for Zinch.
psychic. Zinch. I would do kind of what they do already. The standard +1 invuln actually.
Yeah.
Because they haven't got things like Storm Shield or anything like that, so they're going for most of the stuff's going from 5 up to a 4 up. Yes, there's some things that are going from a 4 to a 3, but
they don't have catch factor terminators, do they?
no, we don't.
No,
They've got
only Space Marines, not Chaos Space Marines have catch
Yeah,
factors.
Death Guard have got
And Death
the
Guard
in
have
some
got
of
them.
their.
but they're not getting +1 because they're
No,
not
they're
Siege. And
Then
then
what do you give Slanesh?
Slanesh is, to be honest, I
Always
like
fight first,
if always fight
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
It worked really well, and that was actually going back a couple of editions.
Also, they gave that to the Chaos Knights, didn't they? Fight the Quicksilver Throne. I think they can give us an Eshy relic to
Yeah.
a knight, so it always
That's-
fights first in combat.
That's a
I
that's
mean,
the thing.
it's a strange one because you're often charging with that knight anyway.
Yeah.
So you can pick it first.
Anyway,
The really weird stuff with the always fight first is when you're forced to always fight first with something, which then allows your opponent to interrupt.
but
Yeah.
the thing,
Whereas you'd prefer
the issue
fight
though
somewhere else.
with quite often some that always fighting first is if you getting charged, they still got to fought first because it
Well, they get to
always
pick one, and then you get to pick. It starts like alternating.
Just goes to kill team.
yeah
It gets.
it gets very wordy and very tricky quite quickly.
Yeah. And combat and charging is a really complicated phase already.
Yeah.
We don't need to make it worse.
No.
No, not at all. But anyway, thank you for coming down, guys. Like as always.
No worries.
Definitely be keeping this rolling. It's going to be a bi-weekly thing, more than
Yeah.
likely.
40k, not in 40 minutes.
Yeah, well, it may change, but we'll see what happens.
I came up with the idea just a bit of a bounce, and yeah, we've definitely
Yeah.
gone over 40 minutes.
Well, we chatted for an hour before we started, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's not even. But again, thank you guys for coming along. Again,
Sorry.
keep up with the channel as well. We also have the Instagram page, which you can find linked below. And thank you for listening. So catch you guys in a bit.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.